Well, I'm the vice chair, so I can just step up and start the meeting. Okay, so welcome. Tonight is July 13th, 2021. This is the Newport Planning Board, and we'll begin with the roll call with Herb Monroe.
Herb Teller?
Sean Glasscock.
Brett Spalding Senior. David Gibby. Ray Gibby.
McCamaro, vice chair, acting chair. So we are waiting on technical difficulties at the moment, so please bear with us. First order of business will be the public notice for the 2022 shed ordinance. I'd like to wait for Christina before we roll in to that.
Are we moved tonight? I don't see anybody on Zoom, but I don't know if the meeting was Zoom.
Don't believe so, unless she has control, so.
Ken, is there anybody here that will the shed itself? We could put that to a different time.
We can move it back. Are there people here to discuss the shed ordinance, the public notice, public hearing? Okay. So that being said,
Do we have any Zoomers?
I
don't
don't
see
know
any.
if we,
There's no numbers in the corner there, so
no, if she's even on.
I'm not sure. It's been advertised as a public meeting, so we really can't put it off, can we?
I think
It has to be in this meeting, but we
Yeah.
can move the agenda around.
But I don't think anybody's here.
time. I think you have to go forward with it,
Right, no, we do, and that's what's been noticed and whatnot, we have to do the,
meaning at the time the meeting opens.
well, I can read it into the minutes and we'll start here. So the public notice for the town of Newport, there's the proposed shed zoning ordinance for May of 2022. Article 4, general provisions. Proposed new section 421, sheds 200 square feet or less. And the definition reads, a shed can have a 5-foot setback from side and rear property lines. Required front yard setback for specific zone still applies. No shed can be greater than 20 feet in height, measured from ground to peak. This applies to only one shed per parcel. All other sheds or accessory buildings must comply with setbacks required for their specific zone. Is there anybody in the public wishes to speak on this? Dave Burnham?
If we change 20 feet in high to either in height or just delete the in, so that it's, doesn't sound like that's what they want. Should say 20 feet high or 20 feet in height.
Right. I think we can strike in. Is there any flavor of the
I
board
believe
for that?
that.
Add the T, because if you just do high measured, you'd have to have a comma.
So we'll change high to height. Any other objections from the board?
I'll move to add height in place of high.
Second, if you want a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So 20 feet in height would be the new verbiage. Is there any other public comment? Seeing that, is there anything from the board?
On manufactured home housing parks,
Okay.
our country club estates lots are 100 by 100. And we've had this issue for a long time where it's tough to meet any setbacks. Sometimes when you got 100 by 100 and then you put a home on it. And I'm not sure if it's a real problem or not, but it's an issue that I need to think about a little bit, just to see how it affects us with the 25-foot setback that we would have to meet. We've got some that are in the 25 feet, of course anything that's existing would be grandfathered anyway.
Right, so, one of the reasons this started was with Christina having to go out and enforce this.
Right.
If anybody complains about a shed, she has to enforce under current zoning, which says you have to meet front, side, and rear,
Right,
which would move it to inboard of the lot,
Right.
not, so this, and a lot of them would have to move, given where they're at.
Right.
But what this is doing is trying to give some relief to that
yeah,
and get it to 5 feet, not 0,
Right.
as some of them are,
right,
but get it to 5 feet, which would allow some ability for her to enforce it, but
right,
allow people to use more of their lot.
right, right,
So that's kind of what
Yeah.
the history of this conversation.
right, right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think
We
he's
did.
aware of, or Ken's,
We started the meeting.
that,
Yeah.
501,
Yeah, we're required by law, by the zoning ordinance to put a shed on the lot. Okay, so you've gotta make it so we can put a shed on a lot.
Right. And
Some-
that's, which number is that?
501.1.
Yeah,
You want me to read it?
you could just delete manufactured housing parks if you wanted to, or something from that ordinance.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it to you, Ken, or no?
I can read it. And we have to, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to bring this up for a second public hearing, correct? Before this goes to
As
vote.
far as I'm concerned, no.
No?
Or not as far as I'm concerned. As far as it's written, no. However, we could have a second or more based on decision or public comment or continuance to deliberate.
Okay.
I disagree. If we make substantive changes, and the definition of that is not clear, then it must come back again for public hearing.
Bert's correct. As it stands now,
Right.
if no changes are made,
The only thing.
this is the only one.
Well, so we made a typographical change. We changed at, where it says no shed can be greater than 20 feet in high. We were gonna change high to height.
Okay, does anyone want a copy of this?
Or you could, it would also make, I think, maybe in some of these parks, an illegal lot.
Actually, can I see that very well?
Sure.
It's right here, okay. Right there. Okay, so this may, I guess the way I would, like you said, would interpret it would be that we would have to add the exception for the manufactured home lot.
And of course, they're all owned by whoever owns the park anyway, so it isn't, lot lines are not as critical as they are in most cases.
Right,
You know,
I mean,
you just
they could be, I mean, you
Yeah.
could have an abutter, but
yeah,
right.
you could, yeah, outside the park you could have an abutter.
So, I guess it would say, you would have to adhere to this unless the rule, the manufactured home rules under 501.1A create a space situation.
Right,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
If you put a the biggest mobile home you can get and then it encroaches, you can't.
Yeah, you could legally put the biggest home in your bed, and then you could have trouble finding the place, because, you know, not all lots are just 100 by 100, they're up on a hill and
Yeah.
different things where you just can't get things to fit.
or you got a leach field and,
So Christina, so we're talking about it's 501.1 manufactured homes, paragraph A,
Okay.
and getting the shed ordinance to be in compliance with that ordinance, because the 501.1 states, shall be placed on a foundation of any type which will ensure vertical and horizontal stability, and if it doesn't have a basement, a storage building of at least 100 square feet shall be provided. Okay.
This is in regard to, mobile home parks.
Right,
Is
but
that
if
correct?
if you get a lot size where you put a mobile home on it, say you put the shed in accordance with this, and you're 5 feet off the rear setback,
Yeah.
right? And then you wanna put the mobile home on, that has to go on the lot. If the mobile home is big enough, it meets front setback, but then it runs into the shed because it's 5 feet away, what's gonna govern? That's the conversation.
Well, if it's your own private property, you could come in and ask for a variance.
Right.
Or you have to buy a shorter mobile home, or ask for the variance, because, which would make more sense.
Right, so what Dave's getting at is we just gotta get the right language into this new shed ordinance to allow that.
No, it would, are you talking about mobile home parks where it's all one big property?
Yes.
Yes, that's what
Then the
parking-
one big property, you would adhere to only to the abutters outside it. You can do whatever you want within your own property.
Well, they're separate lots.
They're separate.
They are
lots.
I mean, you
separate
make-
lots.
You make me, well, you hold me to setbacks when I'm putting a new home in.
Then they are adhered to that. Do we want to, so the only thing I consider, and I would have to look at this,
Yep.
is making a second one that is, if you thought needed, specifically to give more leniency to mobile home parks, which
Well,
would seem,
there's several hundred lots in the town
Well-
of Newport that this could affect.
that are in the mobile home parks.
That's right, that go with 501.1.
Herb, you have something?
501A specifically says manufactured home park and/or subdivision.
Yeah.
So it's not dealing with a legal lot, a private lot. It's only dealing with the park and the subdivision.
And it says if it,
So if that's already on the books, why would we need to, I suppose we can mention it in here, but it's already on the books.
Well, if
that they get the more leniency.
That they can have the 100 square foot
That they
shed.
have to have
if they
one.
don't have a basement.
Right.
If they don't, so then I guess you're right, it's really for everyone else that hasn't already been granted the leniency due to
It seems like-
specifically.
true, because this is under special provision.
It seems like it would only be an issue if the
General
mobile
provision.
home was,
Article 5 special
Was huge.
provisions.
Well,
And you
not
could-
necessarily. not
and you couldn't fit a
necessarily.
shed, you have to have a shed on the lot if you don't have a basement, 100 square foot
Some
storage
lots have
building.
major elevation changes. I mean, there's
Right.
lots of different scenarios that this could,
With the current septic system standards, I mean, when we did these lots, some of the septic system standards were half the size they are now. Now they want to raise systems and et cetera. You run into all kinds of little issues and of course you gotta be 5 foot from the septic system with your shed,
and you gotta be 10 feet from the house.
So right now, the rules are way more restrictive, so
Right.
basically
This is
any
better.
of the sheds on a mobile home park don't meet zoning.
They don't have to. I think we have a legal opinion somewhere that we don't have to. I'm gonna look at this when I get time, I'll look it back up again.
And if
but-
that's the case, then that's not the people we're looking at. We're looking at the people that we do have legal authority to constrict them more than you thought we should.
And the actual-
That we were trying to give the leniency to.
Well, just following the methodology, so if somebody comes in, they're gonna put a shed on their lot, this governs first, right? The new shed ordinance would govern first, this is in the general planning rules.
Yes.
Then, the mobile home piece falls under special provisions for manufactured home parks, which would be basically a special exception to this.
Yeah, you would have to
Because of
follow,
the-
yeah, you wouldn't have to
Right.
follow this.
So it would automatically get you into accepting what the shed, and if the only way it fits is to move it to 3 feet from the property line,
It
then
would
that's
be-
what it
yeah.
would be. That would be the way I would follow it, but,
Can you, Christina,
Yes.
on section 421, can you, the shed ordinance, and then have a footnote, mobile home parks, C 501A?
that would be-
Of course, I can ask, but that would, I think, is your decision, and so, unless for some reason that isn't allowed for the planning board to do, but yes, anything you would want, I would add. We could have legal look it over after to make sure, but then yes, I would do anything you want.
Okay, would anybody object to a
No,
note?
I think it's a good idea to.
We put a note that said, subject to Article 5 special provisions.
Yeah, to let people know that there's additional leniency for special cases of mobile homes
For
on
mobile, for
subdivision.
mobile home parks.
Right, right.
Or subdivisions,
Or subdivision.
which
Well,
means
it's
like,
under
No.
5011 manufactured homes.
that's
yeah,
like, that's like 28 Brown.
But if a person is looking for sheds, he's gotta wind up here. And when he winds up here, if he's in a mobile home park and wants a shed and doesn't call someone, then he
Would
would
be
look at this
directed.
and he would find that he's in a mobile home park and so he's subject to a different standard.
I would say let's ask, because they may say just leave it as is because this is first and the other one
Let people find the
is
other one.
deeper to it, but it's worthy of a conversation,
Okay.
for sure.
So do you want to make a motion to add it, or?
Well, my question would be to that is the person who comes here in a mobile home park who doesn't have a shed already, for whatever reason, and, or decides to replace one, that he buys that mobile home and it has a shed on it, he doesn't like the shed, he wants a bigger one, he goes out and buys it. So, if he looks for anything on sheds, if there's a
Can
footnote
I see
here,
that, Ken?
that grab
That's
it.
the first one. I'm just
I
gonna
will
read it.
say from my point of view, when people come to my window, they don't necessarily say what structure of home they live in. So I should be better at this, I would typically say, when someone goes, I'm coming for a building permit to put a shed, and I would ask, if it's, under 200 square feet, you can put it within 5 and 5. Now I'm gonna ask all the time, are you in a mobile home subdivision, or are you on your own? Because then there's this additional one, but I haven't ever done that prior, I just say you have to meet the setback.
So when I'm reading that, it doesn't seem like that provides additional leeway for mobile home parks. All it says is you need to provide a 100 square foot storage
Which you
unit.
can't.
But if you can't meet this,
You have to configure your lot so that it can, or you need to get a variance. Unless there's a provision in the mobile home zoning that has different setbacks where you can fit a 100 square foot shed in with whatever mobile home you have. But just that wording right there doesn't give you any more leeway. It just says you need a shed.
It's actually gonna limit them to 200 feet, because right now it just says at least 100 feet. The new ordinance will limit it to 200 square foot or less, so,
No, this was at least 100 square feet or more.
yeah, but the new ordinance would limit.
cap it at.
It's always been capped at 200 square feet though, hasn't it?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's been
Yeah,
capped a long
I
time
always
at
thought it
200
was.
square feet.
So I think we should ask, because if anything, when you read if you go in, somebody's looking for a shed, I go read the ordinance again, wait a minute, manufactured homes comes into the
People
conversation.
don't tell me
It's a
what home
quick-
a lot of times I
catch.
look it up, I print
Yeah.
the property map, and I realize, but
Yeah.
you're right, I kind of just fall to the setbacks.
Right. Okay, so I think we should ask, and I think we should
Second meeting.
continue to a second meeting.
Okay, no.
Okay, well, if we're gonna continue a second meeting, can we discuss other parts of this, so
Sure.
we don't have to?
Well, is there any other conversation on that
Yes, there
setback
is.
piece, on that particular piece?
No.
Okay, let's move to the next piece.
All right. Can someone succinctly tell me why we went to 20 foot in height?
So that the shed didn't become a
Monstrosity.
monstrosity. Because
I think-
the conversation around 20 by, or 200 square feet and how high you could go would just be, 20 feet seemed to be
I think we consulted with Dave, who delivers a lot of them, and we figured out it was,
Had to do with the roof peak and.
All right, I guess I would object. 20 foot for a shed is significantly higher than a mobile home. It is essentially a two-story building. In most cases, it may have an upper space in it. And if it does at 5 foot from the property lines, it creates a privacy issue.
Can you imagine a
A
10
man-
by 10, 220 feet high?
A vantage point. If this is a storage shed, to me, the minute I read shed, I cannot envision 20 feet.
Dave, we had some discussion on that height, didn't we?
Yeah, that's why we capped it at 20.
Well, then cap it at something that I think would not do a second floor. Now, if we're talking a building that has the peak of the roof, then the peak of the roof counts in the height.
Right.
And so, if you've got a shed that is 8 foot deep, and you have a peak on it, that's 12.
Unless it's
Anything-
Gambrel.
Well,
Gambrel is 16 feet.
a shed is.
Yeah. Then you get the sheet shed, you can go really bananas on those.
Well, the connotation of the word shed to me is significantly less than what we're proposing here. And what needs to be in that shed? Lawnmower, some tools, things that you don't want in the house. Most houses have cellars. I have a hard time with the 20 foot. I couldn't vote for it. I just think that it is a nice house sitting there with a 20-foot shed out back. No, it's too hot. And part of the problem is to me, is the overlook and how it looks from the other side of the fence, particularly on small lots.
I think it should be 12 feet. I don't think the 20-foot shed, 10 by 10, is going to look very pleasing at the, close to the lot, any line, close to anywhere.
How many sheds do you deliver that are,
Square feet, it's 20 by 10, so you're 20 feet wide with a 12 pitch.
Yeah.
It's 10 feet on top of 8-foot wall, 8 feet plus your trim. So it's gonna be pretty good, so 20 foot. My wood shed is higher than my tractor can.
I mean, the number, and that's how we kind of arrived at the number. It was a bit arbitrary, but
Right, yeah,
we had to throw some math equation to it.
Then you're gonna go right by the 20 foot.
right. But what pitch do you really need on a shed?
It's up to the individual.
Yeah,
Some people
there's
have
no
both lanes, some
requirement,
have
you
that.
know.
I mean, we
It
can,
isn't the pitch that bothers me, it's the possible second story with very little pitch.
Yeah, you could put a flat roof and have a second story.
Yeah, you could.
So I'm playing games within your 20 foot. What can I do? I can have 2 floors,
Yeah.
including the floor in between, and
Okay.
a flat roof on the top that I put a double row roofing on.
I could do 2 6-footers and have a little storage bit up above it.
so is there a motion to change that?
well, the building code says a single story in height,
Right.
so maybe we should add something like that.
Well, I would move that we change the 20 foot to 12. But I think that's also arbitrary. If we went 14, if somebody didn't like the motion, wants to make another one, I'm fine. But 20 to me is wrong.
Can you build a 200 with keeping it within 12 feet, or does that look really short, like a flat roof? I'm not sure. I don't know.
It's a low pitch roof, but it can be done.
But it would look normal? Wouldn't it look weird?
It seems overly restrictive.
But are we the ultimate, wait a minute, are we the ultimate person to make the decision on what somebody else thinks is right? In looks, in appearance? If that's the case, all houses have got to be made the same.
No, I was just wondering if it was easy to build since we had the 200 and under limit, if it was, I don't know, I just was wondering if it was difficult to build something that structured, but because I'm not,
I mean-
but no, I think that,
Well, currently we don't have.
Christina,
a
real
roof.
easy. A 12-foot front and a 10-foot or an 8-foot back, and you put a roof on it, it's done.
right.
Okay, that's easy, it's easier.
Can we put single story in there?
We can do single story. I don't see why we should limit people's, we shouldn't restrict people's designs.
All right.
Okay, what is single story?
I'll second your motion so we get a vote.
Okay, so we have a
Okay,
second from
and then
Dave.
I'm gonna make a motion to be single story.
Okay, but what, the definition of a single story?
I don't know.
White House?
Do we have a definition of it?
It's not in like the back of my zoning book, I know that. It might be in either the housing code or the building code.
Well, we can certainly add it in. An 8-foot ceiling and a,
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Mr. Spalding made a motion to change the height from 20 to 12 feet.
correct, and Dave
Um,
Kibbe
And
seconded.
then Mr. Kibbe, 1 story. Now, is that a separate?
That's a separate, right now we're just dealing with the height for now. So Dave
Okay.
seconded Bert's motion,
Right,
and we're having conversation on that motion.
thank you.
Yep.
I think 12 is too restrictive.
Yeah.
14. Okay, enough enough? 14.
I can't hear you, Herb. I can't hear what you said.
14?
14 better?
I mean,
well,
Dave,
what's the motion, Maura?
612 roofs,
The
15,
motion
right?
by-
Yeah, 10
is
by
that what
10.
it was for a, what size
Change
shed?
the height of the shed
10 by
from 20 feet to 12.
Correct.
All right, so now we've got, let's say we've got, first of all, in 200 square feet on one floor, under that building, is there gonna be any sort of foundation? What is Frost gonna do with that footprint? But that being said, allow a foot for 8x8 cement blocks underneath, and the 6th floor, we're talking 14 inches, 8 feet, so you're 9 feet something, and the pitch of your roof. If you want a different roof for appearance to be, match the house, as an example, then, maybe something more. But anyways, the motion is here and seconded and on the floor. Let's see what goes.
I think when we went through this originally, the definition of a shed did not have a permanent foundation.
Correct. And that's in the,
Herb, can't hear you over here.
The definition of a shed, there was no, under that definition, there's no permanent foundation under that shed. So it would be on blocks, more than likely,
Right.
for anything described as a shed.
so you get to structure with a foundation.
Right. Okay, good. So 200 square feet is on cement blocks. Okay.
Or flat on the earth, or,
How long does the building last?
It's gonna be tilting at 20 feet, it's gonna be tilting fairly soon.
well, a 10 by 10 shed
Is 100.
with a 612 roof on it is at 15 feet to the peak.
If you have a 10-foot wall,
10-foot wall, you're at 18 feet.
yeah.
And that's a simple, single-story shed, 10 feet. I mean, that's fairly normal.
All right.
I think,
Well, I guess.
So that was
I
some of
think
the
you should
logic for
add
the
single
20.
story. Maybe
Right.
go to 18 feet and add single story then. Because it seems like 18 feet is about as high as this thing's really gonna get.
So we need to have a motion to amend the motion.
Unless you have it on piers or something.
But you're
All
still,
we
but
need
you're
to
still
do-
from the ground.
Where do you measure it? So you measure a lot of sheds are on,
yeah, the lots
Yeah,
like
right.
this.
lots.
Oh, yeah.
So where are you gonna measure from?
Where are you gonna measure from?
20 feet seems pretty reasonable, but
I mean, single story is probably the most critical piece of the conversation.
I think it is, yeah.
We can withdraw a second and withdraw the motion.
Okay?
Yep.
So the consensus is 12 is too short. I'll make the motion that we go 14, and I think that's enough. You do not want these huge buildings out there. So my motion now is 14 foot,
In your motion, you want to say single story?
yes, 14 foot maximum height to peak of roof, and single story, with a max, never mind, you don't care about the max on the single story when you've got the max on the building.
Right.
So, single story.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second
Second by Dave Kibbe. Any conversation? All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed?
it.
We have 2 nays. The ayes have it. Maura, you have that language? Maura?
I have most of it, the rest is on the recorder.
Okay. Christina?
Could
I
I,
have Sean as one
And Ray.
and Ray.
Yep.
I might have been confused on foundation, the talk, I just wanted to clarify. Foundation has nothing, is in no definitions to any structure or shed. It's a fixed location on land with a roof that contains humans, animals, or items for storage. It could be paper, it could be, but just so you know, foundations are never considered part of a building or a structure. To consider it a shed or a structure or permanent, foundations are not included.
Well, foundations can be many different things, so that makes sense.
Exactly, it could be the dirt underneath it. I just wanted, if you were including that, if it was built up above on piers, that would be included in what
In the 14.
in the height,
Well, it says, you know,
right?
measured from the ground to the peak.
Okay, perfect. I might have been
Feet.
confused when you
That's
brought
in
up
there.
foundation, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. So we have amended language. Any other conversation from the board?
Did the motion, was it only one story or only single story?
The motion
Single.
is
Single.
Single.
Single, okay.
14 feet, max height, and single story.
Okay.
So anything over 14 feet is gonna need a variance at this point.
If you can
Yes.
make the case.
And I did look up, single story for homes is 15, and single stories for municipal buildings or any kind of apartment is considered 13 because your roof is someone else's ceiling. So I would think that 14 seems logical.
Wait a minute. I read this as this applies to sheds up to 200 square feet. Anything above 200 square feet wouldn't fall under this, what we've done,
Correct.
right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
They would have to,
And
the
anything,
meaning of that would be if you wanted bigger, you then are held to a higher setback standard.
Standard, right.
Yes.
Right.
or
If you
multiple,
adhere.
Well, you know what we could do, though?
or multiples, Dave.
You could just add only a single floor instead of a single story.
Then somebody gets the permit, builds it, 2-story with 1 floor, and then after the building inspector's gone,
That's gonna happen Anything else from the public? Anybody want to wish to speak? David?
Being in building, this typical house today has got 12 pitch. A lot, okay? I just drew up one of our plans. If you have a 9-foot wall, single floor, 9-foot wall, with a 12 pitch, 10 foot deep, 20 feet wide, you're 19 feet. That's the typical shed. And you're gonna run into that all the time.
Well, you're not gonna run the roof so the gable ends on the 20-foot side. Most people are, that can't be typical.
Tell that to the new animal hospital that's being built over.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, Dave, I'm just saying it doesn't seem like a typical way you would build a shed to me. I wouldn't build it that way, but,
If you can build it that way, you just gotta meet the setbacks.
Right.
yeah.
If,
But the idea is that
and if
the
not,
house I just sold had 12 pitch. If I was matching a shed to it, then I couldn't build it until I went 25 feet close to my house. And if it was next to the pool, which is there now, couldn't even get anywhere near, because you'd be either in the road or you'd be up against the wall of the house. So, and there's a lot of big sheds out there. I did one 24 feet across, 8 feet deep, that's 160, it almost meets that setback. It's 24 feet long, one piece.
To me, a shed is not a building. A building is a building, a house. Garage is a building, a shed is a shed. That's why it has its own name. And to take the building and turn it in such a way that you make the ceiling, the roof, the highest part, is a design criteria as opposed to a function criteria. And I just don't see it. Now, if in fact the person wants that two-story, 20-foot structure 5 feet from somebody else's property line, how many abutters are going to be happy with that? I just think a shed should be a shed. We deliver, Dave says here, he delivers a 24-foot long. Yeah. We are delivering mobile homes now, it's how long? 70?
Well, longer than that.
So we understand that things are getting larger. But a shed is a shed. And I think 200 square feet and a reasonable height, cuts it. So, my opinion.
Okay, any other comments? Christina?
I guess I was just gonna state, when we do rewrite this with your votes, that amendments, the high to height, were we adding the 501.1A to if you live, were we gonna add, I know I'm gonna ask,
Yeah.
but did you need to vote on, if I get affirmative, that's a logical thing to add?
Yeah.
Do you want to vote on the then I add it? Because then when we repost this, I don't think I can add that without a vote that you actually want me to add it, if it's affirmative through the lawyer.
I will make a motion that we add,
Okay, we've got one motion on the floor now.
I'm sorry. Well, no, we voted.
We don't, we voted.
With that, yours is good.
Pass.
Okay, that's right.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's the language within the paragraph.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that in a separate paragraph, we indicate subject to Article 5, special provisions.
Mobile home parks, subject to Article 5.
Just subject to Article 5, special provisions, and then mobile home falls within that. That's all that's need to be said.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? So so you have that, Christina?
Okay, so yes, so based on like an affirmative legal wording that she might have some switching around, I will add that, and then obviously we can mess it up again next time if you want to, if
Right.
you don't like it, yes.
Good. And then we continue this to the next meeting.
Yes, and I will
And
repost.
renotice it.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a top page, Jim.
Yes.
Oh, you want me to take them?
Just put that back together.
Is it right?
Okay.
Anyway, Bert. Come on. You need to slim down.
I need to.
All right, so moving to the next item on the agenda, we have case 2021-SPFP 005, J. Mullane, Kelly Village LLC. Request final review of a site plan for the property identified as map 235, lot 32. Proposal for retail automotive dealer. The property is located 14 Barton Whitney, Kellyville, K zoning district. And Bert Spalding is stepping down to this particular case. So we have
Make a motion
case,
to complete?
we need to have a motion to accept this. been noticed. Package seems in order. Is there a motion to accept as complete?
I make a motion to accept as complete.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Herb. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? We accept as complete. So, case 2021 SPFP-005, J. Mullane Kelly and Village LLC. Who's here to present? I'll go right ahead. And state your name and,
Jim Lane.
okay. Could you walk us through what you're doing? You don't have a map, right? Other than what's in here?
I own two cab town, we want to take the cars and put them down in the other lot,
Okay.
to get them, off of that lot down to the other lot, more visibility. Straight from the area where the car dealers and stuff like that, we've been doing it for a while, so, the car end of it, so. We would like to change number 7 and 8 on that application, we can fill that in wrong.
Okay.
Well, we've done a lot of improvements on the lot.
Christina, do you have the map at all?
You should have it.
I don't see it in here.
It wouldn't be in there, it would be in your,
I don't see it.
This
I
one
see
here?
the lot. And we get that lot, but the information you emailed out had a
you didn't have the map on it?
pencil.
Oh, right here.
Oh, his, yes. You don't have that in yours?
Right here.
It didn't photograph very well.
No, that was this one right here. I'll put one up on the board.
Thanks, Dave. Or the, just a penciled one, too.
Pencil one's hard to read.
It is really hard to read, a wooden photograph. I actually might
Say it's
have,
impossible.
Do we normally hear these before the zoning?
you need to change, Jim?
Do we come first?
7 and 8 should be, 7 should be yes.
Not usually.
And 8 you've already done.
We went to the zoning board a month, back in 14 or 15, they approved it, and then I didn't realize, and I had some personal stuff going on, and it expired. So, we have been to the zoning board once, we're going again Thursday.
this is subject to,
Right.
SE through, but you could put it obviously contingent, and it would never happen if the zoning board didn't approve it, and on Thursday.
So that would be on that. Is there any board questions?
So there was a variance for this, and it expired or something?
SEs and variances are a 24-month limit. I believe that was enacted in 2017. 14, thank you. And so that's relatively new that they've put limits on them. They used to be for perpetuity. And if you don't, actually, I'll correct that. If Jim had proceeded with it, then you're done. If you do nothing,
Right.
then it goes away after 24 months.
All right, now we're all on the same page.
Ken?
Yes.
Citizen participation? His presentation is done.
Is there anything, I mean, short of having this map up, it's kind of hard to read, but I don't know if you can, you may not be able to see this on camera. Well, just walk through, ever so briefly, maybe I have to hold it.
Can you read?
Okay, so this is Barton Whitney right here. This house was here, we turned it, put on a new foundation. This is the front lot. There's a garage space underneath, there won't be any repair work done here at all, it's just a sales spot.
Just
It's got an entrance here already off of Barton Whitney, it's got an entrance up here off of Barton Whitney driveway, because there used to be a house here.
so all of the traffic will come off of Barton Avenue.
Right. So there's nothing on the main road. sign will be right down here.
Okay.
I figured that 4 by 12 would probably be the sign, it would be 48 square, because I think we lost 650. And it would be down in front of the, this is the lot, and it kind of dips down and comes up, so the sign will be down in that dip. We're planning on, there's a telephone pole here, so just having the electric company on the light shining back at it, so it's not any extra lighting. If that lights it up enough, we do have electric out to here, in case we have to put some lighting around. But there is a pole right on the lot, not
Is
across
the-
the street or anything.
And the light is there
The
already?
pole is there.
The pole, not the light?
No. I think if I have the electric company put one of their lights on it, it will light up that lot fine, and not being any traffic or anything, it's just put that lot.
Should we add something about downcast lighting?
We should have that.
Yeah.
Because we want to avoid what
Right.
United is across the road.
Yep, yep.
Because it blinds people, so it needs to stay on property.
Yep.
It's the,
Downcast.
yeah, downcast lighting,
Contained on, within.
Sharp cutoff.
sharp cutoff that contains on your property, can't leave the property, is what it
Okay.
should do. And then the signage has to comply with the signage.
And he
ordinance.
is, he is, for one sign,
So, so the one that's noted on the building?
Sure. There's not, all of the buildings say office, this,
Okay.
the main sign is just down by the road.
you could have 1 linear square feet per, you could have 1 square foot per linear foot of frontage on your building, and he's going significantly smaller.
Is there a limitation for how many vehicles can be on a lot?
I don't think so, with dealer plates, no.
Not in any zoning
Nope.
of ours.
I don't think there's no limit.
Is there a plan for your parking lot to,
Probably, if a max 30 cars, probably not that many, but max 30, depends on the cars. You know, I sell a lot of little cars, so probably a lot of little cars, it's 30.
are you gonna be using the house as an office?
Yes, that's an office.
What is the Kellyville front setback, Kellyville district? Is this different than others?
It's actually more restrictive than you would think.
Right. I just want to make sure I'm meeting that. Because the plan being a bit rudimentary.
It's 50 feet,
From the center of the road, right?
No.
no, from your measured from the property line. Now, people might dispute property line, that,
Now, the property line is the edge of the right of way. There's no dispute.
okay, so it's from the,
And that's a controlled access highway, so it is very clear who owns what, where.
so from the property line.
Yes, yes. The setback would be from the controlled access right-of-way line, which is the right-of-way line.
So the improvements that you did, has that been surveyed to verify that we're not within the setback?
Well, the setbacks are only for structures above, 6 feet. Well, fencing could be actually up to 7 now, from 2015, it was 6, it was right.
Yeah, moving the building, we made sure it was past the
Okay.
setback.
And that setback is off, not John Stark, even though it seems like it's John Stark, it's,
Well, frontage is
Hartnell.
right.
and then the side yards are 10, and the rear is 10. That's shorter than most other districts.
Christina, Sandy mentioned in here, I know there's a wetlands fairly close.
We had to
Is there any
check the
concerns?
wetlands, and there's a little corner down by that point, way down in.
So there's no concern with runoff from the vehicles, or anything like that?
Well, he's not infringing on the wetlands.
Mhm.
These have oversight at a state level too.
Yeah, Tom was involved with that, we had the wetlands
Yeah,
girl come in.
I don't see any problem with what you did, from what was there.
Yeah, because it was just down in one far corner, and it's like 100 feet away from where we are, you know, it's in the very far corner of the lot. And it was just, you know, a little triangular patch.
This isn't something that's gonna
Well,
require.
there's no earth, from my point, there's no earth movement near the wetlands. You can build up to a wetland, well, or move earth up to a wetland. So we don't have, some states like Massachusetts have setbacks.
No, there are wetland setbacks.
In New, so what are the, so not, if you could go up to, as long as you do not affect in New Hampshire. As long as you do not disturb the wetlands.
For the setback for the wetlands. Like,
I'm not aware of setbacks for
Well, you can't-
wetlands in New Hampshire.
You can't build a house right on a river or a lake.
But that's, well, wetlands are, protected wetlands are slightly different than lakes, and no, presently, there is the 50 feet on, with lakes.
Okay. Is there a, you said the parking lot or whatever was under the purview of the state somehow, some way?
No, the sale, motor vehicles sales and auto repair stores have to be approved at a state level, have a state regulation.
So is there a standard for the base layer, like that is I think you put gravel in there, is that's approved by the state as okay for?
Most people do, yeah. Kind of like-
We would have a CO, I have gone out with also the fire chief to approve the site for any safety concerns. And then the building inspector has not, if he saw something where he thought there'd be an issue with the parking lot, that would be Alan, the building inspector would notice that. But the building itself and the fire and access and everything was already, looked at and approved. That's up more by the office.
So the building, when it was redone, was done to commercial standards? It's not a
Well,
home.
it's not a home, and it's very small. I have to defer to Steve Yanuzzi on that and he spoke with Jim about the amount, because it's on, a first level to get out, and the amount of occupancy in there, and then the amount of fire alarms that he needed for it. Since it's a considerably, what's the square footage on that first floor?
20 by 30 or something like that.
It's somewhat of a shed size.
About 500.
I don't know how high it is though.
About 550.
Not as the proposed.
No. But he met all the level of which is the state regulations for fire.
Is there any setback distance from the lot line for the parking lot?
We did a good job on it.
Or is the parking lot right up to the?
The parking lots or driveways or any, like, you could, do not have setbacks.
Total slope at right away.
Right, yeah. So he could come right up to the lot line with the parking cars?
Yep, because there's no jurisdiction beyond the.
But we could put a limit on it.
Excuse me?
We could put a limit on it.
Why would you do that when the state did the controlled access right away? They took 2 feet all the way on the project
Okay.
from the Kellyville Bridge to the Claremont line to own it. I guess that's not a good explanation. I'm gonna start again. I own the fee to the yellow line of 11-103.
Yep.
And she's on the other side, she owns the center line. All right? To prevent that, when they put the dollars into the highway, they bought a 2-foot strip on each side
Okay.
that they own, thus extinguishing
Right.
my
Right.
fee simple
Yeah.
underneath the highway.
Okay. Yeah.
So now they control that property to the total slope.
Right.
Okay. Pleasure of the board?
Whoops, wait a minute, citizen participation here, right, somewhere?
He's new. You've been participating. What more you got to say? Go ahead.
Quite a bit.
Public participation, anybody got anything to say? Seeing no hands. Pleasure of the board.
Wait a minute, my hand is out.
Okay.
Jim,
Your
did you
name?
remove the red building that was there?
The house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't that in anticipation of going forward here, and it's just a ticking clock that you've got to start? Didn't you start with the removal of that building?
Yeah.
So, and you still got to go for a variance? Christine, tell me about that. He went in, there was a two-story house, removed the house, cleaned up the mess, and then there was a pause between when he started. In your statement here earlier, he started. It's the first action he took on that property.
Okay. After? That was after?
That was before I went to the zoning board.
That was before.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
being before, then it hurt the time to quit.
I think though with that point,
With
right,
that
there's
point, I
discretion.
made a
Okay,
floor.
sorry.
All right, so he went forward on the granted variance, not knowing that it had a sunset. And so I look at it from the standpoint of, okay, how many things in this town are done by people who don't even come forward? And he came forward. And then I go all the way back to the 80s with the creation of the Kellyville Village District and the RC District going to the Claremont line. And the whole idea there was to use that property, the artery coming to the town, as where businesses would be to make us look more prosperous, rather than drive in and find, oh, the town begins here residentially, and you have the mixed use in it. So here's a place for the rural commercial, and here's the Kellyville Village District. So of course I support this because I live there, but I also support the man. I look at what he's done with his trailers. I look at what he's done with the body shop, Commondale's, and what he's doing here. So that being said, there are a few people out here, particularly in the community, who have expanded as much in that district as Jim has. So I appreciate that, and we as a town ought to appreciate that. What he's done, when he turned the building around to me, I said, ah, God, he's got it, because when it was sideways, it wasn't attractive. And he's done a very good job of making it attractive. So I would ask that, out of all that's said here, that he's done a good job, and we should appreciate what he's done and appreciate his investment in the community.
Okay. Any other comment from the public? Seeing that, looking to the board.
We have a motion to accept.
A motion to accept from Ray, do we have a second?
Subject, hold on. Subject to approval by the zoning board, right?
Yes, you don't necessarily have to do that, it's an act, because it would never go forward without the
So
approval.
we don't have.
You don't have to, it's kind of a double tick, because he has to have ZBA approval regardless of what you say, because they
Oh,
can,
okay,
yeah.
so then we won't put it in there then.
You could do the lighting mention, you
You need the
could
lighting.
also mention the wetlands if you wanted, I could look into it. If you wanted, but don't.
Subject to downcast lighting and.
Sharp cutoff.
Sharp cutoff. That's my motion.
Second by Dave. Any comment from the other rest of the board? Okay, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? Thank you. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. All right. Skinny, let's go.
I'll see you on Thursday.
Nice job on that, Jim. This looks good out there.
It does look good. I've been watching this too.
Oh, that's right. Can I have that?
Oh, I'll take my other one, Sean.
This whole,
Thanks.
Yes, I gotta sign this. Okay. Oh, here, put this in. This is a complete one.
and you sign the first 80, this one, which is, you have to put the I did write them in after. It was down cash, sharp cut off by there.
Yeah. Susan?
Oh, the urban one?
Yeah.
Sure. What, this one?
The lights, pardon me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is case 2021 SDFP-002, Susan Levitt.
Can I make a motion to go out of order?
Sure. Is there a second? Yep. Second, Dave. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Which do you want to go next?
Oh,
To, Herbert.
Urban, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will open case 2021 Annex-002, Chloe Urban / Tom Zabrowski, agent. Request a final review for annexation of .123 acres from map 117 lot 12 to map 114 lot 87 in the residential R1 zoning district. We did.
I guess I didn't vote.
You-
I must have been Baker.
Okay,
You
before you
abstained.
start, Tom, the maps are here, everything. We have a motion to move to accept as complete by Bert. We have a second? Second. Second from Herb. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion accepted. So we will open case 2021 Annex-002. Tom, you're presenting? Go ahead.
Yes, everybody knows where the property is, on Wall Street. This is the house that's on the property, and there's a garage here, and another little garage type shed thing down here. Yeah, this is two separate lots, and the line between the lots went like this. This is that's the way it was done, old tracts of land. And so here's the old boundary between the two lots, and this is the new line, which just about splits the property, 18,000 square feet here, and I think it's 16, I get it wrong last time, this is 19. So this is 100 feet on the road, 100 feet wide, and all the setback lines are on there. And there's a sewer line, water lines in front, and that sewer line is deep enough to hook in there. So they wanted to put a house on it, that's the goal. But you couldn't do anything with a line like this, so we had to, change that boundary from this funny looking line to what we got a nice straight line. That's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
What is the road frontage down there?
100 in the R1. And 10,000 square feet if you have water and sewer.
Right. Yeah, we're over that.
Yep.
And there is water and sewer both? There is water and sewer both?
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
right here, right on Laurel Street.
Not really, make it one lot leaf front.
Actually, I apologize, the road frontage is 75 with water. Shall be a minimum of 75 and 10,000 square feet with areas served by town water and sewer. And then it goes up from there based on non-town water and sewer.
Okay.
Well, it was already a lot anyway. This was already a separate lot, but we're just trying to make it usable. Or-
Well, I couldn't agree more. When you look at, the old map isn't there, but we had the old map, I had it in mind. This makes two attractive lots. And the other lot has grandfathered status on two garages or buildings like there. So that it makes it not only a size of a lot that would be accepted and purchased, but it also has amenities.
kind of neat that they spread the line out to make it right.
Any other comments from the board?
This not be a perfect case for a lot line adjustment?
It is
the exact
case we're trying to get to.
That's what I call it, because it's one owner.
You can do a lot line though with multiple owners. That was the key to it. This is incredibly simple with the one owner, keeping two separate.
Yeah, this is the reason we wanted to streamline that. Any other board comments? Is there anybody from the public who wishes to comment?
I'll just say something.
Go ahead. Your name?
My name is Sharon Urban, and my daughter Chloe owns both of those lots, and I'm 70 years old and have never gotten to participate in something like this before, and some of you who know me in town, I'm an enthusiastic participant, and I want to thank Christina and Tom, and I think what we're doing is making the town have more valuable property.
Glad you feel good about the process.
Yeah.
And the nice part about that is if you increase the brand list, you increase the amount of money for the school district.
Win, win, win.
Okay. Any other comments? Is there a motion?
Yes.
Do we need to change the language from annexation to lot line adjustment, or are we going with the annexation?
We haven't implemented that
Right, so we
yet.
have to
No,
stay with
not
it.
yet.
I think you stay with it.
Okay.
I should address that next, I'll put it to the administration next meeting.
So is there a motion? Bert?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Second from Dave. Motion to accept from Bert, second from Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You'll get your notice letter. Soon, I'll give you the NOD.
I brought a Mylar.
You're supposed to get it within 5 days later.
Oh, we,
But
you want to sign the Mylar, Christina? Yeah.
if it's here, that's, you guys usually, we wait till the next meeting. So he can sign,
I can leave it with.
so then I will send it to you, and then I will submit the Mylar, in the next couple of days. And then it'll be recorded, and obviously could be permitted now, or however you want. Whatever you want to do, either one.
Thank you so much.
But you could have done it before, except you're building.
If you want to wait, I'll get you a signed copy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
We don't have another pen, so.
You need to pull out the
I got it.
permanent marker underneath, is there just the one in there?
Just the one. Yeah, we'll be done. It's only one.
Did you sign both? Did you sign the second one? Sorry, there, I know, you did, okay.
Can we do that? Oh,
People are gonna sign that. It'll make its way around.
pass it. Okay.
You need the pen?
No, that's my pen.
Okay.
I'll give him that.
Okay.
I don't wanna touch that.
Yeah, that's all.
That's good.
We got enough. So let's
Send it this way.
finish it up. Is that one copy enough?
Car dealers would say you buy.
This, yeah, absolutely, normally you guys don't sign those, so great, that's an extra step we can add in. I'll add that to the.
Go back.
Okay. Moving right along, so moving backwards on the agenda to 2021-SDFP-002, Susan Levitt. Christina, you had comment?
I would,
Do you have that signed copy?
Christina has it.
right here, that's for that, there you go.
Thank you.
I was going to request that this, case be removed from the agenda.
Removed or just continue to move?
Removed.
Removed completely. Withdrawn?
Reason being, they don't need your approval for a subdivision because they won't be subdividing lots, they'll be actually doing voluntary mergers. It's not one lot, it's 10. And I was unaware of this fact, and I was made aware by a member of the public / board.
Okay.
Is the lot of record each individual lot?
It's specifically in the deeds, and actually, I think if we're gonna discuss,
So we
and I
really
don't know
can't
if we can
discuss that,
discuss
so
the
they
case,
can't bring it back, and,
if I've removed it.
Right.
so we really
just
can't
withdrawing
discuss
it.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think, I can't go for withdrawal. There is too much here that is knowledge for this board and the community so that we understand what we're doing and how it's done. So I would object strenuously to taking this off the table. At least we discuss it, have the knowledge of why it was changed, and then go from there.
So could you walk through that, please?
we don't have a right to leave something on that a private citizen brought. However, with that said, I agree with Bert, this is a very interesting case to discuss as this whole section, this section, and Bert had mentioned there's other of these issues throughout the town. And if that's the fact, Bert had done a lot of research, and I have a lot of paperwork on that.
Can we do that?
We can't make them leave a case on.
Can we do that during the end communications instead of under the case?
Well, we,
What if they come along next month and wanna present it, and we've already hashed it out?
All right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We should-
it's a good time to speak, okay? I am the one that brought out the issue. And I found it, and there's 250 lots. So somewhere along this board, planning board means planning for future, has got to handle this issue. So it's brought to us now. We can table the issue of what we were going to do and then go into a discussion about what we should be doing in the future and the things that would need to change in order to give people their vested rights in their property to them as the law requires. So
Just back to, though, removing this from the record, this case, because we don't have oversight, the planning board doesn't have oversight authority on whether she merges or how she separates 10 lots.
so just getting to the crux of the issue, and there are, as identified in the map, that whole area is a lot of tiny little lawns, right?
yes,
That's the way it's represented.
yes.
So, of which the same owner on this, case had 10.
She owns 10.
What you want us to do is you want us to get out of the
Individual.
out of the individual,
Right.
okay? So I'm for that.
Yeah.
But I am not for us then ditching it and going away from it. So we add to the agenda, I'll vote for this to be undone to where we are, but then I'll make a motion that we add to the agenda this issue.
So,
Can I remove my request to undo then? And continue, because I would hate for anything you to say, or that I then have removed this woman and she is going to be somehow mandated to come in front of you when she has done a simple relative. I don't want to mess her up.
Okay,
Should I continue it? Should I have her continued, and then I can always remove her next month?
I would say we continue to move it to next month, leave it open,
We'll leave it open
Move it
so
to
I
next
just
month.
don't have to
until we can do the research and get it in the right context.
and then, just to safeguard her, but oversight on this woman, I think, at this point, her owning and having the authority of private property with 10 lots leaves very little we can do, and,
There's nothing, for a matter of fact, let's not play minced words here, there's nothing.
okay,
So-
thank you. So I feel more comfortable taking away that, I just would hate to charge her any more money. That's what I'm looking to save.
Yeah, so just leave it open,
Okay.
and let's use the month to do whatever research, and/or we could withdraw it within the month
Could
if
withdraw at any time.
need be.
We have to
But-
move it to a date certain.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Just a second. So, just looking at it, so I assume she's getting 10 individual tax bills?
No. No, we're still talking about.
Which I
our-
talked to her
Or
about that.
whatever owner, there's multiple up there
Yeah,
that have
so-
multiple lots for a single house.
I
So
just,
they should be getting individual tax bills.
I advised her of that she should just to think very
When we
clearly.
get to the law and get to this, so
Right.
here we're
Let's
trying to answer
table
the
it.
question. So I make a motion that we move this. What's the next meeting? Time,
It's,
date?
it's August 10th, 2021 at 6 PM.
I move that. Continued to a date certain, that date.
Should we use?
That's a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from her.
Should we do it? Tom's been trying to say something. Should we hear
No,
it?
just to move the meeting, just to continue.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
You can't talk about though this case.
He can speak during
I can talk about another case.
communication.
Or, right,
Why can't we talk about an issue?
I want to
Not
get to
this
an
case,
issue. I
let's
wanna
not
get to
talk
an
about
issue.
this person.
exactly.
Not the case.
So
I
can
just
we-
want to talk, no, let's go.
Can we just
over here,
continue this
you know.
case and then he could say whatever he wants?
Yeah, so we have a motion, we have a second.
Okay.
All those in favor to move this to August 10th?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those opposed? So
No,
we're-
I'm an aye.
Okay, so we're moving this to August 10th, case 2021 SDFB-002.
I think you're all gonna, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna give you paperwork on this case.
Ken?
Could I make a comment? Nothing to do with this subdivision.
I
I give you
will
an
defer.
example of something I just experienced, and it was all checked by all these legal vehicles. A little different situation. We had a property with 2 buildings on it, and it was 3 different deeded tracts way back in 1920. You know, the guy back in 1915 or whatever, he bought this one and that one. You know, he bought them from 3 separate people. Built 2 buildings on it, and 2 of the tracks, it's like, I can almost draw you a picture, well, I can get you to picturize it. So, here we go. So we said, it's got 3 separate lots of record. Tax map showed it as one piece. So we call it a lot line adjustment, because we just move this line up,
Basically
and
erase the.
take the middle lot and split it to each of the other 2 lots, and then instead of 3 lots, we have 2. Well, the city said, nope, this rule, that rule, it's been taxed as 1 lot all these years, and you have to subdivide it. Be a subdivision. So, no, I just want you to think about that. I just read this thing.
What town is this?
Huh? Claremont.
Well, and it could be over that long.
It was reviewed by legal people.
That's why Newport's the county seat and Claremont's not.
I know.
Wow.
Okay. I would like to ask the board for about a half an hour of your time. I want to go through the detail here in the education. I put a lot of work and money into this once I saw what was going on to bring it to a head. So, that being said, Chairman, do you recognize me, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, the first thing that needs to come back as, and this is the only thing that is personal, it has to come back as Susan Clement. The tax deeds are on that and the deeds are on that. So the application that comes to us, if it comes back, has to be that way.
Let's just match the deed. Owner has to match the deed, right?
Okay,
She's got to record her name.
Christina?
I,
Christina, at the end, you can have all the time you would like, please.
All right, keep going.
All right, there are 10 lots that are owned in this particular case. And I believe you have all of the deeds. I supplied the originals
You
And
can't talk about this case. You have to talk in general, or we're gonna come by it.
I'm talking in general.
But you
They
can't refer to the
They will not
case.
have the deeds, they will, do not talk, yeah.
But wait a minute now. I'm going to the statute of whether this was a voluntary merger or an involuntary merger, and that is not personal. Here is a case since 1965 that these 10 lots have been transferred from ownership to ownership to ownership.
Talk about just another property, because I don't want us to get in that you're gonna have to
Well, I
discount.
can talk first, second, third, fourth, all the way out.
Right, perfect,
It's the whole thing.
perfect, you're right.
So, assuming though that everybody in the chain of title did not do a voluntary merger. So, the proof that you have and the deeds that you have, which you should have, from 1965, I did the title search for coming all the way up through. And the 10 lots are specifically mentioned by number all the way up through. So that means that those 10 lots are 10 lots. They are before zoning, so therefore they are grandfathered. And that being said, they can be built on today. As hard as that statement is,
Are,
without,
if I could, all of the lots up on the hill, or, you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
are they all taxed on those individual numbers?
well, no, we can look at them on that map that you've got there. As a matter of fact, let's stay with the lot.
I'm just looking at lot 32.
Any,
which is
none of
on-
them are, they're all and that's, none of them are, although I don't believe that pertinent to private property laws would oversee whether we are not taxing a property correctly. That is not, if we correct our taxes and I'm not taxed appropriately by a town, I don't think I can, then I don't lose my
No, but I mean,
private
if
property
they-
rights.
If they were taxed as individual lots, they would be individual properties.
I'm
And then in
just-
order to make one lot, you would have to do.
All I'm
very
saying
merger
is, I don't believe the
assemble.
town taxing it as one lot when it's really 10 is the private property's owner. They don't lose their rights based on that.
No, I'm not saying that. All I'm
Right,
saying
but they are
is
taxed as one lot,
they're all-
yes.
It's all one lot, which is
All the lots up there that have multiple lots
all the property.
encompassed within are taxed as one lot.
Okay, okay, we've got that. I've circled this one right here. What we found makes no difference to that person whatsoever. Because even the division of the lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, doesn't make any difference because in the statute, at which we are about to get to, the owner of the property has to do a voluntary merger that the town can prove, and it's the town's responsibility and duty to find that. But he also can do it by building over a property line. It's clearly specific. So now that I have the floor back and can talk and wish not to be interrupted, I want to make some strong points that are not going to be made, as I guess it, here. And I can't find the piece of paper, so aren't I doing well? The statutes are clear in our 2 pages here somewhere. So, do you have that statute?
I don't think you gave me them. You gave me the easement.
I got it.
You've got it.
Okay.
And the
Can I get-
deeds.
Can I get you to go make copies, please?
Yes. Yes, I did.
The important thing about what you're going to read, maybe I ought to let you read it before I speak. But maybe the words will add something to the meaning as you pick it up. On the piece of papers you're going to get, I've underlined involuntary merger. An involuntary merged means lots merged by municipal action for zoning, assessing, or taxation purposes without the consent of the owner. All right, so when the town chooses to encompass a lot within the boundaries of many that are owned for taxation, it's unlawful. Period.
You don't need the copy, I just thought you're saying, oh. I know, I have it, so here.
Keep going.
Well, okay. All right, so I make the point by the underline of involuntary merger, and then it has to be done prior to December 31, 2021 this year. So that constitutional right is being removed as of that time. So in all cases, that's why it's important for us to discuss this. That right is lost. And then going down further, the municipality shall have the burden of proof to show that any previous owner voluntarily merged his or her lots.
So getting down to December 31st, the owner of said properties needs to come forward and say, you involuntarily merged my lots, and I want them separated.
No, just has to say, restore me.
Or restore, yeah, he wants to put back to their original
Now, I did this,
state, right?
yeah, I did this recently. I've done this twice now. 2 years ago, I did it once, and I did it just recently again with the town. And I was asked why I wanted to do this. I don't have to give why I want to do this. I want the rights that were originally given. So if it's described in a deed, it is a law. If it is prior to zoning, until December 31. So, under Roman 5, the restoration of lots to their pre-merger status shall not be deemed to cure any nonconformity with existing local land use ordinances. That's a big statement, because it means it bypasses everything that we have put into effect that we think makes living in a community more safe. So, the Constitution sometimes has a bite, I guess I would say. So, in this case of what we see here with 250 lots, I am worried about how we handle it. So, what happened was, when I found the chain of title all the way up through, I said, why? Because I knew about 67439 AA, because I had used it myself. And I said, what's happening here? And I couldn't be part of that, even as a planning board member. And I think everyone on this board will agree that we had to stop where we were. And if not, then we would be not doing our job of looking out for the citizens on the one hand and the community on the other.
So if I could, if
Yes.
we, under reading ahead to item Roman number 6,
Yep.
my question would be, was this noticed by the town as required by this?
Yes, through all of the years. As a matter of fact, it was in your annual report. That's where I picked it up.
That's what was noticed? Okay.
So it was important enough for the legislature to actually say all communities have to put this in their annual reports for these years, notifying the people of this.
Okay. So then that would throw you, so given that, if they did that and met that law, then that throws you back to number 1, as we talked all the way down to December 31, where anybody recognizing that from the notice has the right to say, restore me, right? But they have to ask for it. You don't the town just doesn't go out and say, we're gonna do this.
That's
The
correct.
owner has to come and ask for it. If they don't ask for it, then it's gonna sunset on December 31st, right?
Correct.
So, we only have the one potential case that started the conversation right now, but, having heard no others, right? So basically, the owner of the properties has to, or property has to come to, I guess it would property taxed property, because that's the way they're listed on the tax roll.
No?
Well, taxed being the major lot, if they wanna restore each individual, the individualness of the lots.
We can't talk about this, right?
Well, no, I'd say lot 32. I'm just doing it in general, but, so,
Okay, so this, we taxed this yellow piece
right,
as 1,
right,
but it is 10.
right. But based on the law, if the owner of this summation of 10 comes in and says, restore me, then the 10 lots revert back as long as they meet the criteria that's stated here for the e-notice and all this, and subsequent owner clauses that are here.
Yep.
But say it's the same owner, each one of these lots will become their individual lot again,
Yes.
of which each will get taxed individually,
Yes.
up until the point where they do, if they choose to do a voluntary merger, so they go back to the way the tax bill is now, and there's benefits to that for tax reasons, for the individual, because you won't be taxed on building lots, you'll be taxed on one lot, 'cause I had to do this in my house. I had 2 lots, I was gonna get taxed on 2 buildable lots.
But wait a minute, I know where you're
You know
going.
what I mean?
But each one of these numbers is 25 feet in width.
Right, so, but it's, so you're getting at the grandfathered zoning that would create, is what you're getting at.
The tax enhancement on that lot, if the lot is worth, let's say, $60,000, the depreciation of that lot in the next columns over would be significant to take it down to almost nothing.
Instead of just a standard building lot.
Yeah. So, but that isn't the issue for us. The issue for us is what would happen here. Now, this is how I felt, all right? When I saw this, I saw that this was Pandora's box, opening a can of worms. I understand that. But wait a minute, the legislature did it right here. They put it in the annual reports. And so, to be silent would be to do something wrong. I had to bring this forward. And so now, until December 31, we have to see what happens.
Right.
But for this particular thing, I would flip this paper over and say, I've got this many slices of bread, and I can eat each one of these individually. The town decided to make it 1. And in order for me to get back to get the individual pieces of bread, I have to go through the gauntlet of regulations. So if I had said I had built my house here, I would say, okay, I want these 4 pieces of bread to go here, and I've still got these 4 pieces of bread over here. I couldn't go forward, and so my...
So, with your bread theory, I guess what you're wanting to avoid would be, if you took the 4 pieces, merged just these 4, left these out for different property, you couldn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot create a new non-conforming. So if there was a side setback issue with this line, you couldn't do that. You would have to go one more.
You're not subject to it.
Well,
Your grandfather. You're before.
Well, no. So if it reverted back, you would have however many slices of pie.
Yep.
Or bread, or whatever it is,
Yep.
right? So now you have an existing house on there. In order to voluntarily merge the
Why-
lots to make the house be one
Why would
piece.
you do anything under the house?
There again, like I said, if you have individual slices of bread,
Yep.
each one would then revert back and have its own tax status, right?
If it was restored.
If it was restored. When it gets restored, they will have, and so each
Right.
individual building lot in town gets a tax structure, right?
And then the person does a voluntary merger.
Right. And when you do the voluntary merger,
Yep.
to take, say, 4 of the lots, merge them to be able to get this house on it and have one lot there,
No,
you
the house-
cannot create, in the voluntary merger, you cannot create a non-conforming lot, because it's a new lot, and you cannot create a non-conforming one. So if you just simply wanted to,
No, voluntary mergers aren't. You're allowed to voluntary merger 2 non-conforming lots that still make a non-conforming lot. It's a voluntary merger, you don't have to have any
You're
oversight.
making it less
It's a $12
non-conforming.
fee. There's no oversight.
Right, what I'm saying though, is you're now making a new lot,
No,
You're,
and the creation of the new lot
if
doesn't.
they're already non-conforming, creation of, you're merging two lots that are both non-conforming. You're making a new lot that's non-conforming. You're not doing anything.
But
And
it's
you're
less than
allowed.
non-conforming.
okay.
It's non-conforming.
But it's less than it was.
It's less than it was, because you're
Right.
merging. You're doing
Right.
actually a service
Right, right.
to the community by merging two non-conforming lots that still become because
Well, so
you have to own all of the lots.
A non-conforming lot can be made less non-conforming. So, that being said, what really happens here with the slices of bread,
There is, on number 5 though, that seems like it's a little bit different than what you just said. Because it said it can't be, it shall not be deemed to cure any nonconformity with existing local land use ordinances.
They're not trying to cure
So all it's
anything.
doing is restoring it to its pre-merger, and at that point, at pre-merger, I would read that as it's grandfathered at that point,
Yes.
okay? So, it is what it is, because they're gonna be non-conforming because of the size of the lots,
Right.
okay? So, but what I'm saying is, that if you're gonna take now half of those, create one new lot for the house to be on, I was in the mindset that that would create a new non-conforming lot.
It's everything, they own all of them. They can do whatever they want, their private property rights. And as of right now, there's, say someone has 10 lots on, and you own 25,000 square feet of property, say roughly a half an acre, and it's divided by 10, each lot only literally is allowed to be built on 2,500 square feet with 12 feet of road frontage.
So I have a
So the-
silly question. If the state law allows this to happen,
You
why are
can't-
we even having a
Well,
discussion?
I guess to Bert's point, what it's gonna do is open up Pandora's box to, say you do this and you take half the lots and you merge that, voluntary merge them to get your house involved in it, and then you have this new set of 4. Technically, you can have 4 non-conforming little lots that we can do nothing about.
But
They
it's
can build on
already-
those.
It's already there, they have their rights.
I know there's
Just would be
nothing we
them
can do
being-
about it.
Them being informed of it, it's if people are naive to the fact.
Right,
They already have them right now.
right. But
So
like I
they
said,
can
if
come-
it,
yeah.
even under the law as it's currently written,
It's gonna
the
happen.
ability for this to come back is there, and then they could stack houses on those 4 little lots, and there's not a thing you could say about
No.
it, because they're pre-existing grandfathered lots.
there you go, yes. Yep.
Now,
And you'll
you-
the public.
And, but you're not public.
Are you willing to,
You're absolutely okay to jump in here, I won't,
it's your floor, but,
well, yeah, but I'm not gonna give that away yet. But I will say we recognize him as,
Okay.
as a citizen, but I wanna get one point here, just,
If you took the pie, and there's a big house built on 6 of the pie, piece of the pie, right to the edge of the 6th piece, and then you merge those other ones, the house becomes in violation of the non-conforming to the existing local land use, because it has no side, because it's right on the edge of that piece of pie.
the non-conformity.
It doesn't mean- it doesn't mean it.
The non-conformity stays with the property
Non-conforming stays
forever.
non-conforming.
But it says, the restoration of the lots to their premature status shall not be deemed to cure any nonconformity with existing land uses. So when you do that, you still have to follow the existing land uses of today.
no, what that says is, if you restore it to its original, you don't have to comply with the current rules. Because it's it goes back to grandfather, doesn't it?
That's not what it says.
No, it
The
says,
restoration-
It
shall
says you
not be
can't-
deemed to cure any nonconformity with existing land use ordinances totally.
Right, which
Period.
to me, ipso facto means it's grandfathered in its condition as it was
The houses, yes.
originally.
Nope.
When it gets reverted,
It's
And it-
already non-conforming.
right.
But if it goes, it doesn't matter if it's non-conforming, but you're making a lot that's making the second lot out of whack to existing land, and that's what it says.
Well, this is complex enough that the legislature handled it in their infinite wisdom. 424 of them talked about this for some time, I'm assuming. And now attorneys are gonna talk about it for some time. but the grandfathered status is there. Now, we'll talk about, someone personal will talk about me. I bought a piece of property, the deed said there were 3 pieces there, and it was taxed as one. But yet, there were deed descriptions for each lot. So, here at the road was one lot of another ownership. Up behind it was a 2-acre lot. Then behind that was this 20-acre lot, and then up here, an 8-acre lot. So I went to the board and I said, hey, this 2-acre lot right here, you gotta give it back to me. I can build on that 2-acre lot, I can do anything I want. I don't have to meet any setbacks, nothing. I can build on it. This 8 acres up here, same thing. Now, yes, they're gonna assess me for a building lot on this property, which was built into the cake of the whole property. Now I get this $60,000 hit and this $60,000 hit, but I got a piece of property that I can do anything I want with without the regulations. And that, in and of itself, is important to some people. It may be done wrong, and we regret it, but we have a constitution and we have laws. And so, when this question came forward, and I knew it, what do I do? Stay home?
The property gets restored, but wouldn't that fall, if you decided to build on it, you'd have to conform to the existing laws. Even though, you'd have to,
Yes. You have to
if you're gonna make
conform.
any improvements on that property, then
No,
you're,
yeah, so if you build on a 2,400 square foot lot with like 100 feet side and 12 feet on each, be like 100, that gets you 2,400? I think it does.
That's not where you was going.
But you have to adhere to the setbacks. You do not have to adhere to the road frontage because it's a lot. But you do have to adhere because it's unbuilt land to our current setbacks and other regulations.
I'll answer that on the exact opposite. Let's take that 2-acre lot I just talked about.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any frontage on any road. It's totally surrounded by other properties.
It's pre-existed.
So number one, how are you gonna get me frontage?
Mhm.
You can't. Number two, you're gonna give me setbacks? Wait a minute. I can build on that lot as it is. Your regulations that you have made after that lot was done. Example, wait a minute, if right now in the subdivision that we did for Joe Blow right now, today, and we change it tomorrow, what's he have to do? Does he have to jump through those hoops? So now, I will agree that a person who is a good steward of his property would take that 2 acres and set back. Because it is reasonable, because the rest of the property, the other property, is gonna go to somebody sometime. And then the person who owns the 2 acres is gonna want the setback.
I gotta throw a hybrid version in there. It's restoration of the lots to their pre-merger status. So if the town merged them in 74, what were the standing zoning rules in 74?
4B.
That's what it would revert to.
Yes.
Not 65, not 48.
No?
for
I don't see
future,
how that-
for future use of that property?
I don't
At the
see how that's
time when,
possible.
at the time when the town decided that that property is what was being taxed, the sum of the whole, right?
Yeah.
You would revert back to that date, and whatever zoning rules that existed on that date were the ones that they're bound to.
Where does it say
Leave it
that?
that way.
Because I could have a
Under-
non-conforming lot right now
You have to
that
follow
was
our
created
existing
in
rules.
1900. I can't just build whatever I want on it, just because it
Well,
was
no,
created in 1900.
Under item 5, and I quote, "The restoration of the lots to their pre-merger status,"
Mhm.
okay, right there. So if you, so
What's
the
the rest of
town,
the sentence mean?
And you're
now?
talking about just property here.
just property.
In your
Okay,
case,
we're gonna
if there
take
was
this
no
piece of
planning and
land.
zoning back then,
I
It would
agree,
be-
though,
it
if you
would be
have a
no-
lot that subdivided in 1900, You can't build whatever you want on it today. There are constrictions. Say, for example, in 1900, we had no zones. So you can't put in a commercial gas station on Laurel Street if the lot was created in 1900. You have to, if it's a new structure, if there's a bar, restaurant, hotel on Laurel, it has a gas station, that's all existing. If they try to do that now, just because that lot was made in 1900, they don't get to put.
No, I'm not saying because when it was made, what I'm saying is, at the time when the town, the municipality, for whatever reason, combined lots to make one tax property.
Right.
Okay? That's where you restore it to. So this says, if the owner requests it, you have to restore. So if you took 4 properties and made one, the town did, for tax reasons, and the owner requests, no, I want my 4 individual lots back, you have to give them to me. You restore them to 4 individual lots to the day that happened. And then whatever rules existed on that day
It doesn't say
is
that,
what it would
though.
apply.
I don't believe so.
Pre-merger status.
What does that mean?
Just
Pre-merger.
before they were put together, you separate them
You
back to what
separate
they
it
were.
back to the land.
Status. Status.
They have their proper 10 lots instead of the
status
1.
would
That's
be
the
true.
status.
Right, and then at that point, status would also mean what were the zoning status at that date?
Not
I don't go
necessarily.
back.
Why would you
I'd
say-
be
why would
going
you say
nuts.
I agree, pre-merger status is whatever the regulations were
Maybe
at the
you're right.
time of the merger.
I don't think
You're
future,
talking about just the lot.
this changing the property.
You can find the
not
legal,
future
it'll
use.
say the same thing,
Not
but when
the
it,
zoning.
when it says,
I
and
agree
then
on-
they even went farther and they said they shall not be deemed to cure any nonconformity.
Yeah.
When you revert all these to the same thing, if you had 12 pieces of pie and
I
you
agree.
built a
I agree
house
with
on
that.
the first 6 and it was right on the edge of the 7th one, and you change everything to 12 buildable lots, that's fine. As soon as you say, okay, I want to take 7 through 12 and merge them as one lot, you can't do that because now you're in nonconformity with that building that was in conformity before. You can't do that.
No,
Dave,
you are allowed to merge any lots you own.
Dave, I agree with,
But you can't merge it to sell to somebody else to build a house on. You can merge it,
You could voluntary merger any lot.
as long as you own it. As soon as you sell it, you're in nonconformity. And
No,
it
but-
says right there, plain as day, shall not be deemed to cure any nonconformity with the existing, that's today's laws.
They just have to.
But it's-
merge it.
all right.
That's what it says.
I agree with what you said, Dave. Now, let's apply that. This 2-acre lot that's encompassed within other properties. I want to build on it. I don't have frontage on any road. How can I build on it? You can take away my constitutional rights to the use of that property by saying you don't meet the standards and therefore you don't get a variance, so you can't use it. Try that in court, it won't
You
work.
can build in your 2 acres, but you can't build on that 25-foot section next to that other house that's existing from somebody else.
Well, I'm not talking about the 25 now.
Well, that's what this is saying. You can't, you're not in non-conformity. You're out, you've got a landlocked lot.
Right,
You have no frontage. You don't have to meet a frontage setback. You have no frontage.
okay.
All you have is side lots.
I actually think there's multiple rights here in the conversation.
Yeah,
I would
it's
like to hear what legal would say about that. Or what, if it reverts back,
Does it go back also with zoning? I'll tell you this, I can read multiple zoning books, but wow, that's gonna make my life a lot harder if I have to revert. Not that it matters, I have to do it the right way. Well, right,
That's what you gotta remember.
but the thing is, right, these people have rights to their private property, their separate lots. With any structure on them now, if they are if they're up against a road or another property, they're allowed to, because right now they're up against another property. So just because you take 10 lots and you give 6 to one or 5 to one and 5 to the other,
it's already abutting another property right next to it. So if that property becomes part of, they merge these, it doesn't change any nonconformity. It's already nonconforming to the little next property.
Yeah, on the east it may be
So you don't, you
non-conforming.
can't, it's not, doesn't make it less nonconforming or more nonconforming by merging, by voluntary mergers.
No, it's.
It stays
I think it's very
consistent.
clear. It's gonna take,
But it-
there's
it
some
does
legalese involved
become
with this
more.
if it happens.
If you
Sure.
sell that lot,
No, it does not become more, it comes the same.
The important thing of this discussion is that we, as a board, need to clarify what it really means. Because what we have is differing opinions. That is the beauty of bringing this forward tonight, is for us to make a motion that the town ask an attorney what the property rights are and how we should handle this to be right, as opposed to the differing opinions that we have, some direction. And so I make the motion for the town to have the town attorney
Clarify.
clarify the rights as opposed to the regulations.
So would you reference like item 5? What is, clarify what item 5 means?
I would put the statute in there, 674-39.
What am I asking to clarify? Whether someone owns 10 lots or doesn't?
I'm making a motion. So-
Okay.
So stand still while I make my motion, okay? So, are you set with so far? So that being said, the town attorney comes back and tells us how the rights compare to the regulations, where and when, so that we know how to apply them going forward. And that, to me, is significant and extinguishes the diversion that we got here, the divesting of it.
Sean?
I had a question about that motion. If the planning board doesn't have any
rights.
oversight over this whatsoever,
You don't,
why do we
right.
need a clarification?
You don't have
Especially if-
oversight.
Especially if this is going to sunset at the end of this year. It seems like it's just, we're tying up the attorney for, if it ever comes to the zoning
I should ask
administrator-
if you guys have oversight over these separate lots and determining what's right or what's wrong.
The governing body would.
If someone comes and asks, who has oversight over this?
Well, I sure don't have any oversight over private property as far as I'm concerned. Anyone up
No,
there
but-
owns,
But I
she owns
this
the,
is really easy to make here. I got it, that 2-acre lot that I got up there. I come in and want a building permit. What's she gonna tell me?
No,
You can't do it. You don't
I
drive.
can't do it?
that's what she's probably gonna tell you. yeah.
It doesn't meet this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, so we wind up in Superior Court arguing the case?
Only if the zoning board
So is this
doesn't
a-
grant a variance.
Is this a zoning question more than it's a planning question?
it's neither.
It is.
But I
Right?
can ask
Wait,
the
wait, it's not neither.
It
So we have a law that if somebody comes and asks, the town shall revert
Yes,
back.
yes.
Then so what does it revert back to?
Well, then
Whose purview
Oh,
is
you're,
it?
okay, so after that, the person reverts back to say they own, we have it listed as 1, and just let's make it simple, it goes back to 10.
Right.
And they wanna leave it as 10, then I leave it as 10, and
Right, but-
anything they wanna build on there, they can on the 10 separate lots.
Forget building. Just, you're gonna
Okay.
make it, you're gonna revert
Back
back,
to
and
10.
it becomes 10.
Yes,
But they can
Who-
build over the property line, because right in here, if they built over the property line, they lose that status. So after this is all said and done, somebody takes 3 lots and says, I'm gonna build on those 3 lots. Now they all become 1.
What I wanna get at though, before we
What I
get
get
into before we get into detail, we get a case where somebody wants to go back, revert back. It goes back and gets reverted per this.
yeah, just,
Whose purview in the town? Is it zoning board, planning board, board of selectmen? Does it fall under? And
no one.
under that purview, what is their enforcement criteria?
It says-
You're allowed, no one has enforcement. If you own a piece of
No, no, no.
property, you can build what you want as long as it's
So-
deemed approval.
It says the request must be submitted to the governing body. Which governing body?
So that would be the board of selectmen.
No, the
In that
request,
case, it would be the
That's the only
board.
governing body.
But
Yeah.
what I'm getting
Makes
at
sense,
though,
but-
is under item, I guess I would ask for clarification under item 5, Roman numeral 5, within this law, what does that define the new lots as? I mean, yeah, the people get their lots back in the, I'm
Right,
not
we
even
got
arguing
that,
that.
right.
All I'm saying is, once they get reverted back, what
Then
does
what-
item 5 tell them, or tell
They
the
can
town?
do.
Tell the town how to view those lots.
yes, I
Okay.
agree, because I have to know
Exactly.
how they can build whatever they want to build, as long, whichever zone they're in is allowed. Obviously, we know if it's
Right.
not allowed, right, and what
Whatever zone,
year,
whatever setback, whatever rules
Whatever rules.
accompany that
and whatever year. Okay,
establish,
so
that
make the motion then.
establishment.
We still have a motion on the floor.
Yeah,
I know, we're just,
And I guess we're still formulating the motion, it doesn't have a second.
right.
Christina, will you answer a question for me succinctly? I got that 2-acre lot that's in the middle of other lots. And I want a building permit to put a house on there. What are you gonna tell me?
That's an interesting, I'd have to research that, 'cause
Okay, good, and that's what we need, that's what we need. That's what we as a board need to, so that we can govern, we can protect these people's rights, and we can protect the community in the same
agree.
time.
I agree.
So I guess-
I guess I want them, I'm on your page, I want them protected as their private property, I don't like the oversight, I was thinking.
So on the motion, if we go to the
I didn't think I had
council
oversight.
for interpretation or clarification of Roman numeral 5 and what, or, well, the whole thing, but
Okay.
most importantly, Roman numeral 5 and what do we do with it? Is it does it become a zoning board issue with lots and conformance, right? Or is it a planning board issue related to development and permits, right? That's how I'm looking at it. How do we go with it and what are the parameters of that?
Do they have to make a motion, or can I just,
On lot.
They're in discussion
You gotta
right
know
now.
I know.
about that too,
but
and
do
the
you
size
have
of
to
the
make a
lot.
motion, or can you
These
just
are
tell me, ask this
25-foot
question,
lots.
that question, this question?
We can just,
Just tell me, I don't know if we
Doesn't
need a
have to be
motion.
formal, we can
I don't
just-
think it does, I can ask whatever
I
you want.
want it formal.
You want it formal, okay.
Why do you not want it formal?
I just want to get it right, so if it's not in the motion and someone still wants another question asked, I might as well ask another one.
All right.
Because if you came to me and asked me to do a question, I would then ask.
this may ultimately be a conference call with Sean on the phone.
Right,
And
that's,
we ask him multiple questions, just like we're doing right now.
maybe
I
that's,
don't- I don't know if you can point one.
that's the only
question,
thing I was
get the
worried
answer you're
about,
looking
me leaving
for.
something out.
You, me, Dave, I mean, anybody's looking.
Well, the question I asked her, that she could not answer, is what we need direction on, and then that needs to be taken by the legal mind and expanded to what regulations would apply to that property. Because we have all of these safety regulations. Can I go and build a house on it? No, because first of all, this is all land oriented, this is ground level. If it has a building on it, of course, that building goes with it.
Right.
Because the building itself is. So now, I want to build on this property. So, no insulation. Use 2x2s for studs. What can I do? So those aren't questions that we would answer. Those are questions that she and the building need to know. So they need that knowledge also to know what can happen on these lots. And then, when I come in for a building permit, because I need one, they tell me, oh, well, you gotta have this setback, and you gotta have this setback. And that's contrary to what I said before, I can do anything I want, because that was too broad. So I'm taking that back quickly, swallowing it, and it's gone. So, there is regulation above the ground.
So, but we just don't know what regulation.
That's right, and that's what we need guidance on. As wide as, so we need the request to be as wide as it can possibly be, so that we answer as many questions and don't put somebody sitting on that bench praying that we'll say yes.
I fully agree. So, do you want to form a couple of questions and then add those, or a bunch of questions, then we make a motion? Or do we want to just make a, I was wondering if a motion was needed. I'm
Okay,
not, go ahead.
right now, Mr. Spalding has, he has a motion for the town to ask the town attorney to clarify the rights as opposed to the regulations. And you would like to add in
Well-
697:39.
674,
674
colon 39.
39 with two small a's after it.
Dave?
I don't think this is a question for the town attorney, number one. This is a question for the municipal association or the land use. Somebody needs to be an expert on this topic. And there's no single lawyer out there other than in the municipal association. Somewhere, there's a single lawyer that understands this.
Isn't that
And they're
where
free.
Sean resides, is in the land use, isn't he a land use attorney, is that?
He's Drummond and Woodson, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're private attorneys.
If you go to
that-
NHMA, they're free for municipal.
Since Bernie was,
Questions,
there is
right?
nobody that really has got.
Yeah, but you go to MHNA and you get very benign. They won't really answer anything that,
Steve would have been a big help, what he said.
pardon me?
Steve that was here previously?
He
Because
may-
he was in more of the,
He may be. I would,
Doesn't my motion cover that? Because it says the rights versus the regs.
yeah. I mean, I think it does, and then if he comes back with a couple of questions, Christine can fill in some of the conversation.
Well, certainly, he's gonna talk to her, and she can, if she has a First Amendment right, she can say anything she wants. But the
Right.
more information she gets us,
the better. That's all I
the better
wanted
we-
to have that
The better we
scope.
can serve the job that we do.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second from Dave Kibbe nodding his head over here. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Yeah.
Nay from Sean. We will move that forward. Talk about it again next time.
Perfect. I will go, yeah. and
Or
I'll-
sooner?
I'll reread. Yeah, and I think I can. I'll make sure. I'll ask the lawyer. I think I can correspond based,
So, well, I guess
I'll
what I'm
think-
cautioning of is we moved the other case.
no, I'm not gonna correspond about the case. I'm just gonna correspond about this
Well,
law.
Right, but in order to, the case to come up next month,
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to get clarified before we can know, or maybe
No, that's
you
up to
need to
her.
get
That's not,
clarified.
that's not our decision at
Right.
all. Yeah.
So at that point, if you get clarification as we ask,
I could at
And
least
it-
give her way better
and
advice.
it advises that differently, that may change where that case sits, that's all.
I doubt it, but yeah,
Possibly, that's all.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think this whole thing hinges on two dates. September 10th, September 18th, 2010, December 31st, 2021. This whole case is right there on involuntary mergers.
Or the fact that they have to come and ask.
Right,
That number
yeah,
one.
if they don't ask, they don't.
Then it's gonna sunset and be done with.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
done with it.
This person asked for that ball from Mercury.
okay, moving right along. Continued business, none. Do we have the minutes of January 8th?
Yeah, I was gonna ask
June
you
8th, excuse
to defer to next month unless you don't want to and I have them here, but,
Okay. Flavor of the board, we defer to next month for that?
Yes.
Okay.
and you could have these to review. And you can review for.
So let's bring them up next month.
I don't need one, because I can't,
But you don't wanna review, you
Right.
could,
I read them already, I got them.
Okay. Okay, so we'll talk about those next month. Okay, item 6, administration.
we have a new alternate, member, Bart Spalding.
I object,
Make a motion to deny.
I make a motion to throw me out.
Okay,
And we, and then, the second one on administration, I would appreciate, possibly, I'll let you decide, actually, forget what I'd appreciate. This was addressed at the zoning board for the planning board to assess, the rear setbacks and possibly, lessening them in the R2 zone. And just like we're doing with the sheds, it would be a new ordinance that would, to not make them stricter, make them less restrictive for private property owners. And that, I thought we could talk about that, but I would say maybe broach that next, and I could even bring what they are now.
can you just,
The
Email
R2
us a
zone is-
summary
Yes,
conversation
and it's
of
very, it's the area where they have all very small lots, that almost nothing is conforming if you want to do anything.
yeah,
And
just need
then-
some kind of a narrative with a conversation about that?
Yes, and then, we were supposed to vote this month for a new chair and vice chair. That's a July, And would you like to do that now, or would you like to defer?
I move that we kick the can down the road to the next meeting.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So we'll move that to next meeting.
And the only other thing I have, and I might clarify this also, is one credit union is planning on coming next month to give public communication.
To do what?
To give, to
Continue,
make comments about their structure during the communication section of the public. And about an old case of them and them being in violation of lighting that I've addressed them with them. And so I was gonna ask if you wanted, well, they're allowed to do it, I guess they can make public comment, but I've told them that they need to meet what they presented, like you guys requested in there. Typically, like when that's done with mobile station, they had to come and I had to renotice that they were doing an alteration or requesting one. They're not requesting an alteration necessarily, they're just not either doing what you're saying either. So I wanted to let you know that they're gonna speak during the public.
And they've been issued their CVO?
It's what that is for.
The certificate of occupancy?
Has that been issued to
Oh,
one
yes,
credit?
was
It is anything, it's anything they want to talk about.
Yep, okay, I just wanted you to know this has been a long-standing thing since I've been here, and it's kind of, yeah, I just wanted to give you some warning, I guess.
Okay, this is a heads up.
This
okay?
is a heads up, and I think it would benefit
You were-
them that it was
you
a
were on the
heads
board.
up too. They wanted a private meeting with the two
About the lighting.
chair and vice chair, and I said that's not possible.
No, I came on, I think, just after
Just
that.
that thing? Okay.
And,
Okay. So next board meeting, August 10th, 2021. Any other communications other than one credit? Hearing none. Any other public conversation from Mr. Public? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I got one question. On Prescott, I need a better copy. I can't read what that man really wrote on that.
That he did in pencil.
And as a comment, as a board member, I would like to see applications that are, one, filled, everything answered. Wherein tonight, we went through Mullane with things that weren't answered correctly. The application comes to us for a reason. It is the landowner's request for what he wants, and everything needs to be filled out in detail and legible.
We're accepting them as complete.
Excuse me?
We cannot accept them as complete if we have issues
Yeah.
He,
on each case. Well,
I don't want to do that to somebody. The gate, when the gate...
well, that contradicts what you just said.
No. When I go into her, I am a newbie. I don't know very much. And so I fill out what I think is right. She can say, no, Bert, this isn't quite right. You've got to fill in item 7. Okay?
I don't see,
With Jim Mullane, he answered no prior zoning regulations. Well, wait a minute, if there's no prior zoning regulations, why do you have to go in front of the zoning board to get a variance? So those forms need guidance. These people do not know how to get through this gauntlet of regulations and forms.
where did he write no prior zoning regulations?
On the
Seven.
checklist, on the checklist,
Seven.
item
Seven and
7,
number 8.
and then
It
number
was
8.
7.
7.
Are there zoning restrictions?
The bigger issue I had with that one was just the hen scratch plan.
Plan, I couldn't even read it.
Okay.
I
We
don't
really, Christina, that kind of plan, we shouldn't have, we shouldn't
Yeah,
be going from that.
that was my mistake. I could have even just, I didn't realize it came through so badly. I could have even just traced over what he had written,
Well,
what he had drawn,
Well,
and to make it darker.
I guess from where I was watching it from, he went ahead and developed the property, then hen scratched the plan, and then say comes in for approval.
He hasn't done
Are we in that much of a
anything,
hurry?
there's nothing wrong with what he's done with the property. No lighting's been added or no signage or anything. He owns that property. It has a house and it has a huge parking area that he's allowed. He's done nothing in violation on what's already allowed there. And I think when he wrote no regulations, restrictions with zoning, he was supposed to be seen in front of zoning ahead of planning. And it was we canceled twice, and I was having like 12, and they got put on the next month. So, but that's still my oversight on that one. And I guess I didn't put the cost, I didn't have them put in the estimated cost of the project. So I'll make sure those things get done, and I'll make sure things are written much darker
Well, I guess
for me to
under,
copy.
In the case of Prescott, okay, I could read probably 50% of it, but if I'm misreading his words and he's coming forward and asking for something, I want to know what he's asking for. So his application,
Who was this, Prescott?
yeah,
It's either urban,
that's, it is, it's ZBA, but you're the communication between two. So what I'm saying is,
Oh.
applications that come into you
okay.
need to be completely filled out, legible, before they go to the boards.
Okay, so you're referring to one that the ZBA you don't believe was correctly filled out?
Yes, and then there was,
Okay.
Mullane tonight, so,
Well, yes. Yes, I missed that he wrote no restrictions. Yes, and I'll have them add in the amounts, the prices, yeah. I'll make sure every line's filled in. And then I will fix Prescott for ZBA on Thursday. I'll have to look over that it's not legible after I.
okay, will you send me a copy that's legible?
Yes. Yes, I didn't realize that.
So I had a quick question for the board before we adjourn. As a new member of the board, with the vote that took place where we are directing the administration to spend, who knows how much money researching a topic of, this is a theoretical case that might come forward. We're kind of interested in this law. I'm just trying to figure out, is it normal practice for the board to direct the administration to do something like that when this could be it could be handled by the administration simply. If someone comes in and it's not even under the purview of the planning board, they tell the administration that they want to do something, and the administration makes the call, we're going to do it this way because this is the way we interpret it, or we're going to get a legal opinion on a specific question. It just seems like we shouldn't overreach too much, and like why are we directing to spend so much time on a question that might not even ever come up?
if we need, like in this case, it was a case that hit all of our email in the package. So it's
Right.
been exposed to us.
Right.
If we need clarification on how to interpret either our law or other portions of the RSAs, then that is available to us. And we've used that in the past. We've had conference call with the lawyer. We try not to do that,
Right.
but if we have to do that,
I guess.
I guess
we're not land use attorneys.
No, my question, well, there's so much law that we could sit here all night and say, I want an interpretation on this, I want an interpretation on that. But until it's actually a case in front of us, it seems like you said
I
from the
said I was
beginning.
I told her, yes, she has a right to do whatever she wants, and I was gonna hold any new structures. This was gonna be my opinion, and my opinion can be administratively overturned.
Can I make a short
There's a
comment
process,
before
but
you-
I was gonna move forward that she had rights to revert those regardless of our tax, because that's what, and
Yeah.
that she then could do whatever she wants, and it's with no oversight from ZBA or you.
So I do,
Dave is gonna, give
I
me-
yielded to
give
him
me-
for a
give-
short
give me-
comment
give
before
me
my comment.
3 sentences of short comment.
Your time
It's a damn-
expired.
The cost of the town fighting an appeal of somebody who has been wronged is significantly more than the cost of the opinion to give direction to the people who are in the front lines that tell people where their rights stand.
but there's so many appeals that you could anticipate. You don't have to You don't have to get a legal opinion for every single possible appeal when the appeal hasn't even happened yet.
Well, okay, that statute was drawn up by 424 educated people, and they all had access to attorneys and et cetera, and did their best and were questioning it. I feel okay with that.
Can I hold you to that statement?
Dave,
I guess
got a comment? Yeah, I looked at that as, we represent the citizens of this town theoretically. And there's a deadline here that says something that needs to be done. And I think it's our obligation when we know that there's something that people are not doing, that appears to be done, need to be done in their best interest, that it's in everybody's best interest, that we spend a little time and money to do that.
Get it right.
Because government is supposed to represent the citizens, all of them. And I feel very strongly that we should look at that, and particularly if there was no deadline there. So
Should we be posting, with that, I would read that you would notify that there's this deadline, that
You
they,
can't read it. It had to start 2010.
The very last item on that RSA is the posting requirements, and that
In the warrant
was done,
article.
yeah.
that we can't tell them.
It's already been told, it's already been noticed.
theoretically, they've been told, but they haven't, because who reads the
No,
warrant?
but that doesn't revert any of us or you, or us stating that these, as good citizens, they should be notified of their rights.
That would have to, I guess we go to the Board of Selectmen to say, do we want to renotice?
Yeah,
Because this all of a sudden came up?
right.
Who
And then let-
noticed? Did we?
Well, no.
The town, the municipality, under the law, was required, says shall notice,
Oh,
the very last paragraph
Okay,
on
so
that
I'll
RSA.
look into that if
And
we
they
ever
did,
did
and
that.
it was in every annual report, all the way up through. So now, their responsibility is fulfilled under that statute.
Right.
It's
So
on
now-
that page, item number 6.
And we did it. Newport
I
did
don't know
it.
if we did it.
We just have to be
And-
I am
prepared to
not the one
handle
that
it if it
posted
comes
it.
ahead.
And what hasn't been talked about here tonight is this deadline of December 31 was kicked down the road. Because when I came through with my first one, I was prior to that deadline, and then lo and behold, I look and, wow, they extended it. Okay, now I'll do these others. So, they kicked the deadline, the yardstick, or
Sunset.
goalpost
Yeah.
Goalpost, yeah.
further down the field. So, I doubt they're gonna do it again. But the problem is is it applied? And you can't answer my question, and that's what we need. You have to you're the front person, you're in the trenches there, you're taking the bombs, we're sitting back in the offices.
We're trying to help you.
No, I agree with you.
Shield
I
us.
actually said that within your question. Your question about your lot. I made a decision on how to proceed with that one. With that on 4th Street or those, because that's clear. It's very clear in the law, they have the rights to as many lots as are in their deeds. The one I said I'd have to look into is the one you said with no frontage, and you have a lot sitting that you need a helicopter to get to if you build a house. I did not say I need to look into the ones where people have 10 lots when this town said we only had one. I already made a decision on that.
There is a
But I will call the lawyer.
There is possible clarification needed for that area also, for future use. You know, where do we go for rules regarding what they can do with that property?
Can I build a factory on the 8 acres?
I
No,
mean, well, do we go back to the 1900 zonings? I mean,
No.
if there was zoning back in
no,
1900.
I think we can agree that that's not the case, but
It doesn't seem to be the case, but that's,
it's the land, not the use or what you're putting on it. So we need to know the use and what you can put on it and how you do that. And the best case of that is that 2 acre thing doesn't even have frontage on even a driveway.
So I guess to get back to Sean's question, we're not land use attorneys. We are members of the public trying to do this on a volunteer basis and use the best knowledge we have as a collective group. But if we need to outsource to clarify that book, the New Hampshire book, or the RSA book, then we will have to call.
I understand
And that's what
that.
they're there for.
No,
I think what Sean was saying is, if I knew she had 10 lots instead of 1, like on our tax map, I would have never even brought it here. Never.
And
I
we would
have
never
let her
need
do a voluntary
the
merger
knowledge.
and, let her build for
because we figured out a way, well, yeah,
So we're
so,
not supposed to be talking about
right, right. The humans up there, the his, her, or other, I would have never brought it here. That's the only thing, I just didn't realize that all those people had multiple lots. But I'm
Okay.
gonna call.
Anything else from anybody? I'm back to asking for a motion to
Do we,
adjourn.
yeah, do we need to amend the zoning ordinance to reflect this discussion?
don't give him a motion and don't give him a second.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from John.
Oh, dear.
All those in favor?
We have to go home.
All opposed? We're done. Thank you. So Christina, for the guys that won credit,